So welcome. I'm Heidi Hubling. I'm COO of the Preccelerator Program and Director of Marketing at Stubbs Alderton Markiles. So the Preccelerator is right where we're sitting right now. So we're really excited to have you here tonight. We're actually celebrating our 7th class of companies. 3 really great companies that have gone through the program, worked really, really hard, and they'll be pitching for you tonight. And I'm going to actually not give the firm pitch tonight. I'm going to turn it over to somebody who's led this firm for the last 15 years. So our managing partner, Scott Alderton.
Heidi left off one of her titles, which is rock star. So I'm going to be very brief. We're really happy to have you all here. As Heidi said, Stubbs Alderton Markiles has been around for a little over 15 years. We started a law firm back in 2002 when the tech world was falling apart, and we were all tech lawyers, and we thought, what better time to start a law firm than now, when every other law firm in town had abandoned the market, and we were dedicated to the market, so we started a law firm. And I think what you're sitting in right now, the Preccelerator, is a perfect example of what differentiates us from other lawyers. We're entrepreneurial. We think about solutions, not contracts. We think about ways to enhance and advance businesses, not transactions or deals. We're entrenched in the community, and we just eat and live and breathe this stuff every day. Heidi, as you all know, does a phenomenal job of running the Preccelerator, and this is, as she said, our 7th class. We have, it's evolved a great deal from basically being a room with a table where a couple of companies could work when we started it, to having a full-on curriculum, a great set of benefits, the most amazing mentors in all of Los Angeles who help these companies. And if you look around, you see the signs of the companies that are either in or have been in the Preccelerator. You see a lot of these little badges on the signs. Those indicate that companies have achieved some kind of a milestone, a funding, a partnership. We've had a couple of them actually exit. We think that companies that come into the Preccelerator have a dramatically greater percentage and probability of achieving success and getting funded and getting out to launch their products, and we're very proud of the work that we do here. And so with no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to my partner, Louis Warden, who is the CEO of the Preccelerator, and he will introduce the companies that are presenting tonight.
He's actually going to introduce the companies. I wanted to provide a few additional statistics in connection with what we're doing here at the Preccelerator, and then my view of kind of this class and one of the ways in which I think we've, again, differentiated ourselves in the market. So we've had 35 companies come through the Preccelerator, 27 of which have graduated and are still operational. Those companies have gone on to raise roughly $11.2 million in financing. And while we didn't have a metric with respect to success, we think that that's a meaningful statistic in connection with the companies that have come through our program. As Scott mentioned, we have classes of around 4 to 5 companies. The term is 6 months, and we have rotating classes with an introduction every 3 months. And for those of you who are interested in participating in the Preccelerator, the deadline for applications is tomorrow. So, we figured we'd give you the candy right now to show you the great work that our companies are doing, and then motivate you essentially to apply and become a part of this awesome community.
We'll give an extension.
Fair enough. I can send an extension, so we'll do it. The thing I wanted to talk about really briefly is innovation and the ways in which I think the companies that are presenting tonight exemplify innovation in the Southern California community. So there are amazing commercial products that each of these companies is providing, but I think they're doing something more. So an example would be nedl, right? nedl is a search engine for content, for spoken and sung content. However, at its core, nedl allows us to essentially break out of our bubbles, right? And it's one of the things that you're hearing about quite often today. We're very isolated, we're very insular, we want to hear what we want to hear. And nedl will tell you more about this, but one of the powers of this technology is that it enables you to go beyond that, right? To actually seek truth in the marketplace. EVRealities, another fantastic company. A marketplace for licensing digital rights with respect to 360 video and VR content, right? That technology enables us to essentially experience the world in a more connected and visceral way. Again, it's got amazing commercial applications, but at its core, it enables us to connect with each other, to understand the world in which we live, and to experience it in a much more realistic way. Third company, LineforLine, which is essentially providing lyric music videos. again, an amazing innovator in that we get to express our creativity through song. Now, I'm sure lots of us can't really sing, and so in order for us to communicate with our world, think of gifts for music, right? You tell amazing stories and you express your creativity through these gifts. Now imagine adding music to video. It's going to be amazing. And so that's just to say that we think that these companies are doing amazing things. We are honored to be a part of it. We're welcoming you guys all here tonight. Thank you for participating. And without further ado, I will turn it back to Heidi, who will introduce you.
Did such a good job, I don't think I can do anymore. So we're very excited for all that they've accomplished and what the other alumni companies have accomplished. So we're excited to get started tonight. So without further ado, I'm actually going to introduce Ayinde Alakoye, who is the founder and CEO of nedl. I'm trying not to say it too loud, just bring a surprise. But I will go ahead and let him get started, and it is a search engine for audio.
Hi, everybody. Echo. Open nedl.
Welcome to nedl. You can search over 100,000 live broadcasts of news, talk, or music by saying, find, followed by the keyword you're looking for. Try it by saying, find Kendrick.
Okay, nedl. Thank you.
Peace.
We've all been there. We've all turned on the radio and gone station to station trying to find something to listen to. And it's frustrating, right? But we're not alone. There's actually 4.3 billion people on the planet who have the exact same experience every single day. And they're trying to find live news, live talk, sports, information, live music. And they can't. So we asked the question, what if it didn't have to be that way? Hi, my name is Ayinde, and I'm the co-founder of nedl. I'm also the creator of the original iHeartRadio app, and I've been in radio for 20 years. And we asked a simple question. What if we could search broadcast radio the same way we search the internet? And so we're addressing a $40 billion global advertising market with a B2B2C platform. And here's how we're doing it. You actually can search the radio just like the internet. In fact, we've created an AI-powered tuner so that you can search and pinpoint keywords as they're being said on over 120,000 radio stations worldwide. Not just radio, not just broadcast radio, but also user-generated content. So we're building an app that will allow you to tap a button and open up your own broadcast and start speaking and have every word that you say get injected into the live search results so that you can be discovered as you're talking. We're building software for the home, the car, and your pocket, and eliminating the need for you to have to go from station to station to find the live information that you want. Despite what you may have heard, radio is as popular as it's ever been. It's actually a $44 billion market globally, and that's just over the air. So online radio is expected to grow to $2 billion by 2020. It's the #1 discovery mechanism for new music. If you don't know this, when your kids are not on your subscriptions, they're listening to radio. And so 74% of the US listens on a daily basis. 82% are listening because they have a strong connection with their favorite hosts. And 92% of those mythical creatures we call millennials, they listen on a weekly basis. And so we're not inventing something new in terms of a marketplace, but we're taking really cutting-edge technology and laying it on top of an existing marketplace of radio stations, of broadcasters, and advertisers. And the way that we make money is very simple. We take a radio station's all of their audio content and we turn it into text for $20 a month. And that allows them to be searchable, and so that we can bring them advertisers and we can bring them new listeners. And micro broadcasters are now able to tag while they talk instead of tagging after the podcast and spending a half an hour to figure out how to be discovered. And ad agencies, and this is the big one, right? So now an ad agency is able to track a radio listener over time for every single search phrase that they enter, every single word that they enter. So where Google owned everything that's been uploaded up to this moment, nedl will own the now and monetize that with ads. We already have revenue. So USTN, US Traffic Network, is our first customer. And they're utilizing our technology to take all of their live reads and make sure that they've been read at the appropriate time and are pronounced properly, and send that data and that compliance back to their advertising customers. We expect to expand that relationship to their sister companies in the next year. And so across the top, you'll see the landscape. You'll see all the usual suspects, right? And down the left, you'll see the different types of content. So you've got news, sports, live news, sports talk information, and then you also have music, and you also have, of course, user-generated content. And you'll notice that nedl scores with all of these, and especially with the speech recognition tuner. We already have 120,000 radio stations as well. So, where's Jason? He's hiding, there he is. So Jason is my co-founder. We've been friends and partners for the last 5 years, and he's a phenomenal technologist in his own right, and built the first messaging app for live broadcast radio. We've surrounded ourselves by amazing people, and we've attracted phenomenal advisors, including Ken Hertz, who we can walk into literally without bragging any door in Los Angeles, any entertainment office, any star you can think of, as well as, which is our GotoMarket Strategy, as part of our GotoMarket Strategy. And then Justin Sasso, who runs a 300 member organization in Colorado, and then Lou Ferrara, who came from the AP and then Bankrate with a $1 billion exit with Bankrate. And of course these guys. So our go-to-market plan is very simple. We're going after partnerships. We already have a partnership with we're working on, I should say, a partnership with the NAB. We have a very good relationship with them. They are the preeminent trade organization for broadcast radio. And then industry-specific earned media. So radio is a very, very small world and very xenophobic as well. So just a little bit of press goes a long way, and we've already earned some of that, as well as, of course, direct sales the old-fashioned way. We're also going to go user acquisition-wise. We're going to go after paid ads, of course, as well as an affiliate program. So we're going to actually allow radio stations to benefit financially for promoting their participation with nedl over their airwaves. So those young people that listen when they're not listening to your subscriptions, they're going to hear these ads. And then also nedl casters, right? So our user-generated content coming from our users, that's going to be actually, you're going to see that on your feeds, and you're going to say, oh, what's my friend talking about right now? And you'll go to that. So we've made some progress. So far, we've already acquired over 120,000 radio stations through business development efforts. We've already generated revenue, and just recently we won $20,000 prize, which we're very proud of, from the National Association of Broadcasters, the NAB Pilot Innovation Challenge that was held in Palo Alto in November. And 2018 looks even better. So we're looking at an Alexa skill that you've heard a little bit of that will be live by midnight tomorrow night, and we're really excited about that. Thank you. And an iOS app that we're pushing out for Q2, and then real-time search ads. So we're going to go after this in a big way by Q3. We've already raised $125,000 from prominent investors here in the community. Some of you may know Ken Hertz, so you saw him earlier. So he's an advisor, distillery, a Inc. 5000 company that has invested, as well as Jason Peterson and the Knight Foundation, along with the NAB. So I wasn't going to say anything, I just got a text that it's okay to say something, but I can't actually announce it publicly.
This is a private meeting.
I'm just going to say.
So we have a demo booth in the back, you can come see us there. Ken Hertz is our first advisor who invested. And of course, Lou Ferrara, which is kind of a big deal as well, so he invested just last week. Backstage Capital is committed, and we just heard that...
Don't say it.
I can't say it. But we just got in a huge thing up in Silicon Valley. We're raising $1 million. About 250 is spoken for now. Well, it is. and then, sorry, thank you guys. Wait. Okay. So, use of funds. Develop the USTN, sorry, I'm a little excited. So develop USTN custom portal. So we already got that going, so we need to expand that so we can take advantage of that opportunity. And then of course expand our engineering and our technology infrastructure. And then finally, we need the go-to-market strategy. So we are democratizing access to information and to the microphone itself. Please join us. Thank you. Heidi, while I have the floor, okay, there's really 45 seconds at the most. I just want to really thank everybody while I have an opportunity. So, if you're a mentor, some of you are standing already. If you're a mentor and helped out Needle, please stand. If you're a mentor and you've helped out Needle, and so here's the thing about these mentors. They come from ridiculous backgrounds, and they come here and they don't get paid, nothing, and they are amazing. And every cohort person in here knows that, but if you don't take advantage of that cohort people coming behind us, you're crazy, because these people are awesome. So please give a round of applause. And then also, attorneys, please. And then, please, Louis, come on. And then Heidi, right? So, she takes everything so personally. She cares so much about this. And the thing about this place is that you really feel like I didn't get it at first, but we are a family here. It's really a family. So thank you for letting me in the family.
Thank you for being part.
Last thing, Susie, where are you, Susie? Susie's Jason's wife. And Jing, please stand up, because that's my girlfriend, and she's put up with so much. Susie, stand up. Thank you, guys.
Now, if you have any questions.
Hey there, I wanted to ask you how you're doing. I wanted to ask you, when do you think you'd be up to searching the direct channels, like on DirecTV and also XM Radio, Sirius, and those? At what point, how far along do you see yourself doing that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So we're starting off with the radio market, which is obviously a big market. We feel like we don't want to have like hubris around it. It's going to take a while to get it right, but it's definitely in our roadmap to expand into television and video. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, well, thank you
Just
very
one
much.
more question. So what app do I use to listen to the stations once you find them?
Okay, so right there on Needle. So you
I
use
listen on Needle.
Yeah.
So you don't use TuneIn, you okay.
Yeah, needle as in the haystack. So all those frustrated TuneIn listeners will come to Needle because it's a lot easier to find things.
Okay.
And Last question.
In your timeline, when will needlecasters get to start subscribing and getting their content out through the app?
Great question. We're going to do invitation only to start. We'll probably start that, kick that off by late Q1. So if you're interested and you're a broadcaster, we're going to actually target broadcasters to do that. So it's really great content and celebrities as well. And then we're going to open it up to everyone, hopefully by the end of the year. Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
So up next, we have EVRealities. And as Lily mentioned, EVRealities is founded by Erica Barraza, and it's a platform for hosting and distribution of 360 web-based VR. And I will let her take it away.
Hello, everyone. All right, so as Heidi said, my name is Erica Barraza, and I am the founder and CEO of EVRealities, which is a marketplace, a secure marketplace for sourcing virtual and augmented reality content. You know, what Getty Images, Reuters, AP, Kodak, and several others did really well over the last couple of years, 100 years or so, Kodak more recently, is democratize access to visual content, photography. They made it fully accessible and provided subscriptions for people to be able to augment the kind of stories and pieces of content that they put into their newspapers and built news and other reports around them. However, with the ever-changing appetite and constant need for satiating visual content happening on the internet now, more and more these organizations, news groups, digital publishers, and others are pulling from user-generated content, which moves faster speed of pace and runs the risk of finding fraudulent content as well. So we created EVRealities, which helps democratize access to building, sourcing, and publishing virtual and augmented reality content. Now, we believe in a future where we are rapidly losing our flat screen displays. You can now find augmented reality and virtual reality content in storefronts. You can find it all over digital media. You find it in location-based experiences, VR arcades, and we're rapidly running toward immersive media. In order to keep up with that, and as well as our consistent search and appetite for visual content, we've created a marketplace that really simplifies how you discover virtual reality content, how you purchase it, and your ability to publish it with confidence that it is authenticated and that you can easily and simply manage the licenses and rights to all of that. Just to give you some example of our appetite for consumption of media content, in the United States alone, we're consuming, as just an adult population, 368 billion plus hours of digital content. That's the United States alone, and that does not include teenagers. So this is actually quite conservative in terms of the amount of visual and digital content that we need to satiate. And to bring it down to an addressable market, the virtual reality industry itself is projected to grow over 1,000% in the next 2 to 3 years. Obviously, this is a new market that we're generating. There's a high demand. A majority of this cost is going to a lot of hardware developers who are working on location-based experiences, that are working on hardware, headsets, and other displays. But every every device is going to require extensive amount of content to keep users engaged. And that's the problem. Most digital news and media publishers cannot keep up with the amount of content that's being requested. There's a risk of fraud, of pulling from user-generated content. And what they really require is a reliable, steady source of high volume of content that can be delivered and curated specifically to their needs, similar to what Associated Press, Reuters, and Getty were able to do before, however, have not been able to evolve into the marketplace that we're looking into now. So our solution breaks down into 3 component parts. We're developing a global network of virtual and augmented reality creators who can upload their content onto a blockchain that secures the licensing and rights management of each piece of content. They name their price, we help them with pricing guidelines, and once it's up there, any digital publisher who's filled out their subscription profile gets curated content delivered directly to them, very similar to what they're used to with a newswire service. So we plug in directly. From there, they can pull it down off of the network, they can editorialize it, put their text, their content, put the voiceover from their own newscasters on top of it, and publish it directly onto whatever medium that they've chosen, whether it's a web app, if it's a digital app for the phones, if they're building something out on the Vive, Oculus, etc. They can publish quickly and with time and relevancy to a news story. We're helping them build daily VR and AR content strategy. So EVRealities does have some similar competition with Blend Media and Veer. Blend now has a partnership with Facebook, who's looking for a direct media channel. Ourselves, however, we've positioned ourselves at the top of the funnel in this VR content creation process. So anybody who's interested in starting off with a VR content piece that says, I don't know where to start, I need some help with a story, or I'm working on something and I need a little bit of additional footage because I just can't send my team down to Antarctica to report on climate change, we've got that content on our marketplace. And they can come to us first. Several others are doing other component parts, but we're focused on that discovery and curation component, the licensing and rights management, and the global payment system that are all possible with the blockchain technologies that we're plugging into. Our go-to-market strategy is relatively simple to begin and quite traditional. We're taking a revenue share per piece of content that's sold, and we're also providing monthly and annual subscriptions to our members so that they can receive curated content. We've already begun conversations with a handful of news and digital publishers and are looking to launch our prototype for our marketplace with these subscribers and a couple others that we're looking to bring in into a closed beta by February. Our milestones. So we've got quite a lot of work to do, but as you saw we're positioning ourselves to be ready for that 2020-2021 boom. We'll have a fully built out repository of content. We're looking to build that trust network and become the reliable source for others to come to EVRealities first for that top of the funnel content. We came to the SAM Preccelerator as a business concept, and in 6 months we now have over 50 creators contributing onto our platform. We have an MVP of that creator dashboard. As I said, in February we'll be opening up, we'll be running our closed beta and opening up to a handful of selected digital publishers. So we'll have that marketplace prototype ready to go. And by May, we're looking to open it up into an open beta where others can sign up and still use and operate it on a regular basis. Our team. So myself, I have worked with leading innovation teams for over 30 different enterprise and big global nonprofits, groups such as Bayer and BD and Hershey's and Lowe's, as well as the United Nations, 17 organizations in the United Nations, Amnesty International, and several others, and helping them guide the innovation process, how you integrate these technologies and implement them for system optimization. Chris Daniel is a full-stack developer with over 20 years experience and recently graduated from Upload VR's master class in Unity development and has been a web developer for over 20 years, is fully versed and specialized in 360 video content marketplaces. Fabian wrote the book, literally, on making 360. It is the only textbook that is in existence right now about how to make 360 videos, and he's helping us with our experiential design and storyboarding, and also does our React and WebVR development. as well as Jen Kong, who has joined on as a UX UI researcher, which is critical for developing in these early days of virtual and augmented reality experiences. So we invite you to join us. In Q1, we are now kicking off our PreSeed seed investment round, starting off with our first tranche of about $250,000 to get us going. We have a few needs that we're looking at in order to really be able to build out our contributor network to build up that stock of virtual and augmented reality content, primarily with expanding our servers, pushing out these publisher pilots, and working our way toward the open beta. So if anyone has any questions, I welcome them. Thank you.
Anybody want to get us started? Good question. Don't be shy.
So you've mentioned the fact that in order to satiate the need for content, you're going to have to source significant additional content from users. How do you plan on scaling as the volume of content increases to meet that demand?
Yeah, absolutely. So building on the blockchain technology, right now it's still quite nascent, and the transactional costs and the speed of the blockchain technologies are a bit slow, but we're planning on scaling with them. We have partnership programs with Samsung Internet, as well as Mozilla and several others, so that we can keep in line with all of the developments in order to keep up with that scaling process. But once we're fully integrated into this blockchain build-out, the trust network systems is actually what's going to be able to enable us to provide that user authentication. So you won't be able to have someone who creates a user account for a one-time post to be able to throw off an election, for example, or any other kind of fraudulent activities. So over time, as creators join into that network, we build their reputation. They have transactional history that helps them scale and grow, so that we can automate that authentication and trust process. Yeah.
I think you mentioned like the news, but what kind of content are you really looking at launch? And I mean, I don't think there's a lot of news consumed in the VR, AR space at the time being.
That's a great question. So a majority of our content creators actually come from my Impact network, and we have been out there capturing content in the Middle East, in Western Europe, and in South America, as well as the United States. And they've been capturing content, everything from marches, protests, parades, refugee camps, disaster response, and emergency preparedness. And all of this content is valuable to news organizations, and once it exits the news cycle, it's actually valuable to government organizations, nonprofits, universities, schools, research groups, and others who are also interested in getting involved in virtual reality, but can't plan ahead or budget in advance in order to collect that content. So once it exits the news cycle, it's still valuable to several other groups, and they are primarily capturing current events. Yes?
Are your contributor relationships exclusive?
The content that they have uploaded on there, we are encouraging them to remain exclusive, yes. They can dictate, right now we have 3 license agreements that they can choose from, whether it's embedding, limited licenses, or exclusive. However, our vision is that once this marketplace is built out, there'll be very little incentive for them to post it onto something like YouTube or other places, because it is top of the funnel, where we do...
I meant more against like Getty, or Shutterstock, or the other...
Yeah, the other competitors. Yeah, absolutely. We encourage them to remain so, and depending on which license agreement they choose, it will determine if they're exclusive or not. Yes?
What are the technical specifications for people uploading files? Do you have like...
For which files?
For files, video files being uploaded. Do you have technical specifications?
Yeah, that is... It's a bit of a complicated back-end at the moment, because there are no standard protocols with virtual reality, 360 video, or other content similar to that. So we're actually working with Amazon. We got into their Sumerian project before it launches. And there's a lot of transcoding that needs to happen in order to get everything to operate. But we are also building out on WebVR, which is why we've partnered with Samsung Internet and the Mozilla teams. Right now, WebVR is in version 1.0, and we're working with them to stay in sync with making sure that everything plays and automates across all devices. So
if you can try to get stuff that's uncompressed possible, because what happens is if you have footage from two different creators and it's uncompressed, you can change the temperature of it and make it look like it's the same creator. If it's compressed film and you want to cut two things together, it'll be really jarring.
Yeah.
So if you make it closer to being uncompressed, then you have this thing called latitude. And with that, you can make two different creator stuff seem like it's one creator.
Absolutely, and that's actually a consideration for the publisher to make, primarily because we are remaining under the guidelines that Associated Press and other news organizations hold, where you really can't make too many adjustments on the original file source in order to verify its authenticity.
It's not about that, it's about you don't have latitude. So if the file source is compressed, you can't change the color temperature.
Yeah.
You can't change these things because it's more about matching. Like I know Associated Press.
I'm happy to chat with you after about those specifications.
No,
yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Since this is a blockchain solution, do you have any plans for an ICO?
There you go.
It is, so Codex ICO is a wonderful validation for what it is we're trying to do here. I think for anyone launching ICOs, it's probably a really deep internal look into yourself as to why you would be doing one. And that's currently one of the things that we are examining it, although it's not currently in the plan. I mean, blockchain operates best when you have critical mass and a significant number of nodes in the system. So for that reason, we are looking closer into Ethereum or into Stellar to be able to plug in and branch off of their existing APIs. An ICO is always an option, but at the moment, I think, with Codec in particular, you have to ask yourself not just when you launch an innovation, what is your purpose in the future market, not what is your purpose now. And they're launching an ICO on static still photography. So that's a big question, although a great market validator for implementing blockchain.
Anybody else? Very good. Okay. So before we actually, I want to brag on her a little bit. So, she has two pieces, so I'm sure there's more than that, that have actually been featured. She's been producer of web-based VR. One was when you kind of referred to it, you didn't fully go into it, but a piece that was done in Antarctica that was featured on Discovery Travel, I believe.
Yeah.
And as well as another piece that was featured at the Cannes Film Festival. So she's very...
All right, thank you, everyone.
All right, so next up is Dean Andriotis from LineforLine, and LineforLine is the musical snippets. So they're snackable bites of content of matching music videos with lyrics.
I'll do my best to explain it as well. Thanks, Mike. She nails it all the time. Anyway, so I'm actually not going to be presenting with a microphone. I'm a loud New Yorker. Hopefully everyone can hear me. And this will be the last of the New York jokes, but closing this out, I automatically thought of being Mariano Rivera, and I'm a Met fan. So anyway, hope that didn't pull it. Yeah. Okay. So, I'm Dean Andriotis. I'm the CEO and co-founder of LineforLine, and we are a software service for music discovery and promotion. And what we do is we give artists and their fans the ability to share their song lyrics with sound across all social media platforms. The best way to think of us is as a customizable closed captioning for music. So, when we're talking about sharing music, what we're really talking about is actually music discovery and music promotion, because the only ways music can actually be discovered is if it's able to be heard and people can actually listen to it. So a really good example of that is the radio. Radio forever has been a way for labels, artists to break themselves, and that's how people are able to listen and ultimately decide, do I like this artist? Do I want to be a fan? Do I want to buy music? Okay, so when you're looking at that, takes you into modern day, let's say, creation and distribution. And what you're looking at is it's never really been a better time to be a creator because of all the DIY and software solutions. You can easily create content, especially for music creators. It's really easy to create audio content. It's really easy to distribute your content. But once you're distributing that content, being discovered is a little bit of a different story. So I'll use an example, and you're seeing a rise in independent artistry, and it's largely related to this, the lower barriers of entry. This is an example of Vel the Wonder, and Vel is actually an artist on the LineforLine platform, but more importantly, Vel is actually a local LA artist with a pretty significant following. She has over 10,000 followers on Twitter, over 35,000 followers on Instagram. The thing that's interesting about Vel, while she's known for her music and her core following loves her music, her social media feeds are covered in visuals, in music videos. You do not find just snippets of audio content. And the reason that is because sharing content, specifically audio and music content, isn't really optimized for discovery. And to piggyback off of what Erica was saying, we are consuming visuals at rapid rates. 2/3 of the content that we're actually consuming is visual content. In addition to that, it's snackable content. So snackable content is, again, between 1 and 2 minutes. The sweet spot's right around a minute. The average song is much longer than that. And then video production, ultimately artists that once are producing audio content are now being asked to produce visual content to be relevant. And video production, as we know it, is a job in and of itself, and it's costly and timely. So our solution, when we asked ourselves, what is an artist to do? We said, let's rely on that existing audio content. What is that audio comprised of? It's comprised of lyrics and it's comprised of music. So what we did is we synchronized the two so that artists are able to create these visuals, these short form visuals known as lyric video clips. Essentially what these videos do, what bridging this gap, this audio visual gap does, is it's an easy way to quickly grasp the attention of those that are viewing. You can create them really quickly, and you'll see that shortly. And you're able to save time and money when you generate your visuals. So this is what an artist goes through. And right now we're targeting artists, but their fans will have access to this as well. An artist uploads their track data, they then upload their audio content, and then they choose where they want to send a fan. They put a link to their specific listening platforms, whether it's Spotify or SoundCloud. At that point, they then have access to their lyrics. They can select any section of select any section of their music by selecting their lines. Their fans can do the same. They're able to customize that section, and then they're able to share that section with anyone, anywhere, at any time. And ultimately the goal, and you'll see what happens, you'll be able to turn a viewer into a listener. And as we already went over, that's really the key, and that's the hurdle that artists are facing. So I want to give you an idea of what I think is a pretty sad attempt, and I admittedly went through this for a very long time until I invented LineforLine. What I think is a pretty sad attempt at sharing a moment of a song. This. And I don't know if anybody knows these lyrics. If you do, don't shout them out. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But what it really should look like, and you'll see it, and that's why we created lines, and that's why we created these lyric video clips. What it really should look like is to capture a moment of a song, and the way you do that is by bridging this audio-visual gap like this. So everybody can get their minds out of the gutter as to what they really thought they were saying. After you're done rocking out, it's easy to connect to the emotion, and I think it's special to what Louis was speaking about earlier. There really is something very special about connecting to the moment of a song. But to speak in a little bit more concrete terms, when you look at lyrics, the trends are pretty much undeniable. 2% of all searches on Google are for lyrics on a daily basis. That's 70 million searches a day. That's over 1 billion in a month. Music with lyrics, there's actually a demand by those that are streaming music to have their lyrics in real time. 50% of music listeners actually want their lyrics synchronized with their music. And then from 2011 to 2018, we saw lyric video footage on YouTube go from 48 hours to over 10,000 hours. So this is what the competitive landscape looks like. And there's nobody directly in our space, but we do believe we kind of merge the gap between lyric sites, your static lyric sites, the way most people were exploring lyrics, and a video production platform. And what separates us is the ease of creation, the synchronization between lyrics and the actual audio, and then the actual linking to the listening platforms, which really makes us the promotional tool that we are. As far as the opportunity, this is a familiar statistic, I think, to everyone. 2.5 million people on social media. This might actually be surprising to people, but to go back to the growing category of independent artistry, this really echoes that. There's 40 million artists, or 40 million people that categorize themselves as musicians and artists. Anyway, this is really significant though. On a daily basis to SoundCloud and YouTube, there's 1 million songs that are uploaded. That's 1 million pieces of content, audio content, that needs visual representation in order to break through the noise. So our go-to-market strategy is obviously the traditional means of owned digital media, paid digital media, and more importantly, it's user-generated content. That's what really makes us special, and we're kind of noticing we generated this organic mill. As much as I'd like to say we had it 100% planned, we had our speculations, but it did work. And it's largely related to the fact that we're working with artists. Artists are a really motivated user. They need these visuals, and they need cost-effective visuals. So they rely on their audio content. When they create these lines, not only are they growing their fan base, but they're ultimately marketing on our behalf. And when their fan base grows, our viewership grows. So it's a really good funnel. Our revenue model, our primary source of revenue is we're looking at ourselves as a video production service initially. So we're going to give 1 free song upload. An artist can create videos freely, and every song thereafter is $10. We're probably going to give a price break on a monthly basis of some sort. We're also going to be generating a commission on affiliate music sales, in-app advertising, and then down the road, data and analytics. I do think there's a very valuable relationship between fans and artists. These are our current metrics. So we just recently hit our 1,000 song milestone, and we are over 1,400 lines created, so let's say over 1,400 pieces of marketing content for artists and ourselves. And month over month, we've grown our user base by 100%. We're actually on pace to do the same thing this month. These are our user activity metrics. We have a 12% conversion rate. Our cost per acquisition is 54 cents. We have a 49% organic growth rate. That's been the number I've kind of been alluding to over time. 30% of our users have created more than 1 line, and 20% of our users have uploaded more than 1 song. This is our team. So, you know the guy on the left. Rob, who is my co-founder. We've been friends since we grew up in New York together. We've been high school best friends, and we always kind of used to share lyrics with one another and try and one-up each other on what we discovered. And then when I had come to Rob with this concept, shortly thereafter, Rob left his role in New York as the COO of a fast-growing startup. I left my role as the district manager, the newly appointed district manager of a biotech company, and now we are where we are today, and we pursue LineforLine. Naren Ratana is a full-stack engineer. He's had over 10 years experience. He's been with us by the end of Q1 this year. He'll have been with us full-time for an entire year at an abbreviated salary for the last 6 months, and the 12 months prior to that, he was working entirely for free and just on an equity basis. And Jay Crouch, who is our chief technical strategist, he has 17 years experience in the technical space, and probably his most notable role was the CTO of Jessica Alba's brand. So these are our milestones. In 2016, we developed 2 MVPs. Basically, these 2 MVPs carried the momentum into what is now the LineforLine platform. In 2017, we were accepted to the Preccelerator. Thank you. Then we pushed to our LineforLine beta. By the end of 2017, we actually hit our user metrics, which was an awesome feat, I think, because we had set to hit those projections at the end of 2016, and we launched a few notable influencer partnerships. Our upcoming milestones are going to be continued product market fit through Q1, which is going to include putting in a paywall, generating some revenue, really just to become cash flow positive. Our mobile product dev is going to be our goal for Q2, and Q3, we're looking to integrate actual popular lyrics and really expand our user base. So, in our first 18 months, my partner and I, we bootstrapped the company, and now we're looking for $500K to further our efforts. So I hope I communicated it, but as a team and as music fans, we really look at listening and helping people listen and connect with the message of an artist's music. We don't look at it as a project, we look at it as more of a responsibility and a duty and a passion on behalf of the artists that we love. And we believe sharing lyrics with sound is the way to do that, so we hope you'll join us on that journey with LineforLine.
How would your business change if, like, a Taylor Swift or Nas decide to use your product and load up their songs?
What was that?
How would your business change if a notable artist like Taylor Swift or Nas decide to use your product?
I really think it would be a matter of now shifting our focus a little bit prematurely to the fan. Right now, we're very focused on this go-to-market strategy, and we realize there's a really good organic mill that's being generated from these independent artists. But once you bring popular music in, you need to be aware of the fan, because I don't think it's going to be Nas and Taylor Swift generating these. I do think it's you or I who want to express ourselves using this music that are going to be coming to the platform. We need to be ready for that.
So from a listener point of view, I'm essentially listening on SoundCloud or Spotify.
Yes.
So you're not involved in music playback, okay? Thank you.
Not right now.
Anyway.
What about other audio? So obviously songs are one thing, but people give speeches all the time or whatever, where we might not have any images associated with audio. I mean, we just talked about a radio thing.
Right.
You know, where there's a situation where somebody wants to upload a radio clip to Facebook, but there's nothing to see. Are you looking at doing stuff with just voice that's not necessarily music?
I'm not sure I understand what you mean that there's nothing to see, because I would almost make the argument where you could say with music there's nothing to see, but the lyrics bring a lot to the table.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, if you have an audio clip of somebody giving a speech, that's like a 30-second speech, and it's just audio, and you want to share the audio clip on Facebook, you're sharing, I don't even know if you can actually now share an audio clip on Facebook, but the point is, because there's no image, or it might be it might be a still video with an audio clip is probably what you're sharing, right?
Yes.
So my point is, have you looked at, is there an opportunity for other audio, not just music?
Gotcha. Forgive me, I just wanted to make sure I actually answered your question. And yes, I think this is just, we figured out an application for pretty unique technology, but I do think there's a ton of potential to actually do this for anyone who's actually narrated really anything where you can kind of deliver a message. I think the overlying concept, and Louis was talking about how, and I agree, nedl is breaking ground and democratizing things. Erica and EVRealities is definitely disrupting and bringing a lot of attention to things that need attention, but I think the ability to be able to deliver a message is really impactful, so I definitely think we're going to be looking toward a ton of other audio content. All audio content is going to need love and nurturing if it wants to break through the noise right now.
Yeah, in your presentation,
yes,
you talked about the viewer, and they like to listen to music, they like to see the words. You're talking really very passive about the audience. I think one of the most important parts of your work is the karaoke component. People that want to be involved with music, not just listen and read the words. I think you need to start emphasizing that it involves and engages the audience in a very active way.
Definitely. I love the comparison to karaoke, because I think that read-alongs, if we really want to boil it down to simplicity, has been an unbelievable learning mechanism from the beginning of time, and it's proven that cognition is much stronger when you actually deliver a message with a visual to actually make the connection for people, so I agree, there's definitely potential there.
So emphasize in your presentation engaging the audience as well as just passively looking and listening.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
How do you compete if Snapchat or Instagram or SoundCloud lets you do this in-app? They build a tool that allows you to do essentially the same thing.
I mean, they actually are sharing audio snippets.
With kind of visual components as well.
They're doing it actually with visual components right now. Even Spotify is, the thing is the lyrics is actually what separates it. It's just a competitive advantage at the moment. If it were to actually become a pretty crowded space, we still think going after that independent market. A lot of people are not going after the independent market, and they're totally neglecting it. And that's a category that's just continuing to grow. And I think there's a lot of potential to get to these independent artists' lyrics earlier. Because eventually, one of these, or a bunch of these artists are going to become successful, and there's a lot of publishing potential there as well.
You haven't talked a little bit at all about Shazam, and Shazam seems to me your biggest competitor, because that's also preloaded on a lot of phones right now.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about your...
Can you tell me why you think Shazam is actually
Shazam has the lyrics on all the songs, and also pretty much has, they've been going for, and they're also preloaded on phones, so they're already, a lot, people can just go right to the app right on their phones as soon as they open the box. on it, so.
One thing about Shazam is they are dealing with all popular, for the most part, the majority of the music is popular music. And number two, it's connected to a question that was asked earlier. It's very much related to the listening experience rather than the actual promotional experience from the standpoint of artists and really the expressive element for fans to express themselves. It's more of a, I'm listening to this now, the discovery experience of listening to music as opposed to actually sharing music, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right over here.
Yes.
So how are you actually distributing this program currently? You may have touched on this in your presentation, but are you reaching out to artists individually one by one, like messaging them on Instagram, and how do you plan on getting it to scale? Are you reaching out to like R&D departments or A&R departments, for example? How are you actually getting this program out to the artists?
Mixed bag of what you just described, but starting out just to kind of keep it sustainable, because we've noticed that if you go to too large of an audience too soon and too strong of an artist too soon, I think you're going to be dealing with a heavy influx of fans wanting to do this. So right now, initially, we started out just when we were testing with a few relationships that we had and reaching out directly via Instagram, which was great. And then what we started doing was light ads on Instagram, very light ads, because there is that organic funnel element. But we also do have relationships with a bunch of independent labels. Speaking to their managers, they're aware of what we're doing, and in due time, we're actually going to probably, that's going to be our next step, to go to larger partnerships that aren't mainstream, so it's a little bit more of a sustainable model, so we're not taking things on too fast. At the same time, we'd love to be able to scale quickly, so.
CD Baby.
CD Baby, aggregators, TuneCore. TuneCore is actually one of the partners that's in our pipeline right now, whoever said that. Yes, TuneCore is.
That's all indies, CD Baby.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
There's real potential there, absolutely.
Anybody else? Thomas?
Can you go a little bit through the process, how you're actually doing it? Are you using voice recognition? How do you sync it, and how is that scalable? Because I imagine that the voice recognition and syncing is not there yet.
Yeah,
so I'm like kind of really wondering how would you scale this in the millions?
That's the magic question. What you just asked, and to be honest, like I could talk to you about it offline, we are always looking to optimize that. No matter how great that technology is, we are going to be looking to optimize it, and that's what some of the funding that we're looking for is going to be going towards.
A Wikipedia style program might be kind of cool, for example, where users could go in there and edit lyrics, for example.
Absolutely. All right.
Anything else? Anybody else? Thank you very much. Stick around, we're going to have the demo table so you can actually get to test their products. And as Louis had mentioned, our next class starts on March 5th. And the technical deadline for applications is tomorrow. So we've had, so far we have right around 100 applications. But we'll give you an exception. So one more week for anybody who's here. Go ahead and submit those applications.
If you're awesome, you can have another week.
So have a great time, and thanks for being here.